My name is Mark Jane Kubenzis. This is my path, my journey. I'm willing to explain it all to you guys. No holding back anything. I just hope you're ready for the experience, and I just hope you can handle it. Now, I battle with my ego every single day. Just like, I guarantee, just like everyone does. Now, there might be some, like, totally enlightened shamans or enlightened people, but I still think that they battle with their egos on a daily basis. There's a lot of things behind closed doors, a lot of things behind the camera, a lot of things behind, a lot of people. So, I really don't think that there's one person that's perfect at all times. That never gets mad or never gets angry and never loses his temper and never like I highly doubt that. Because enlightenment is a everyday process. It's an everyday work. It's like you're working at it every single day. I feel like I've been battling my ego for a good 3 years now. And for these 3 years, let's just say that it's been a hell of a battle. Probably one of the craziest fucking wars that has ever existed. The battle of consciousnesses. The ego versus the, I guess, consciousness, the true consciousness. Which would be the battle between good and evil, or the battle between light and dark. It is happening within all of us, the yin and yang. Now, before this journey, I guess I was not a good person. I could be completely honest about that and be like, listen, I was like a fucking angry, but I guess on the inside I was sad. That's why I was angry. But then the psychedelic journey is kind of like shows you these things about yourself and shows you things about yourself that maybe you don't like about yourself. And then you see something you don't like, and that's why you want to change. And then it's like, holy fuck, dude, I gotta change. And whatever it means, whatever I gotta do to change is what I've been doing. Meditating, taking herbs. I did psychedelics and explored my consciousness. Explored the inner verse just to understand the outer verse. I explored all these things just to try to, to be honest, just to basically get rid of my anger and my ego and that side of me that I don't like. The side of me that I see when I look in the mirror sometimes that's like, dude, who the fuck are you? Like I don't fuck with you. And I don't know, maybe not everyone has that, but I definitely do, and I still do. Like, I'm far from perfect. And what's crazy, what's really crazy, that I'm not down in psychedelics, because psychedelics have enlightened my mind to a full fucking extent, right? But, because if it wasn't for DMT, I probably wouldn't even be on this path, be on this, saying this. But I feel like before I started doing herbs, when I was just doing DMT, and, then I started doing psychedelics, and then I started doing shrooms, and, then I tried LSD, but then I started doing herbs. When I started doing the herbs, that's when everything changed for me. That's when things started being more, being able to be applied in this physical realm, because herbs ground you. A lot of the herbs I take kind of just ground me into this reality. But the things that started grounding me are the things that really started fighting my ego, like, a little more. And started fighting the ego just a little more. But then I question, because honestly, who the fuck knows what the ego is? Like, we all talk about the ego. Like, every psychedelic enthusiast talks about the ego. But it's like, really, what the fuck is the ego? We don't know. Because Terence McKenna described the ego as like a psychedelic, like a psychic invader, like a parasite that attached to your psyche. But when did that parasite attach to the psyche? Before we came to this realm, or after we came to this realm? Or, when did the parasite attach to the psyche? I mean, it could have happened thousands of years ago when the first time we were on planet Earth. Who knows? But what I'm saying is, we don't even know what the ego is. Or the ego could be just us, because if all is one, then we are the ego as well as our consciousness. And it's just a big mind fuck, man, because if you really start getting deep into the psychedelic philosophies and start getting deep into the psychedelic experience, then it really starts to get down to, holy fuck, if we're all one, then if good exists, then evil exists. If evil exists, then I am that as well as the good. And I think the whole point of this reality is for the good to get rid of the evil. But I feel like that's why we're having, some type of fucking consciousness war or whatever. But everyone has a consciousness war inside of their minds, which makes it even more like, holy fuck. Because think about it. Every person battles with good and bad in their mind every single day. Like whether you could not like somebody and you could just want to be like, yo, fuck you, or you could just be like, hey, let's work things out or something. It's that good and evil balance. It's the angel on the shoulder compared to the devil on the shoulder. Everyone everywhere has always had that. Therefore, everyone everywhere has always had the ego and the non-ego, or the consciousness. Now, we call it the ego, but it could be just a part of us. Maybe we need to learn how to tame that. Or a lot of people say kill the ego, but maybe we need to learn how to control the ego. But then by controlling the ego, you get into the risk of it sometimes getting out and leaking out into your normal life, your normal reality. When you get into just the ego itself, what is the ego? Once again, what is the ego? Now, to get to this, the ego. Does it take ego to become successful? Now, I've seen a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of YouTubers, and not even just a lot of people in life, but the only place I've really seen this happening now is on YouTube, where I'll see, like, YouTubers that are, I guess I would call on the road to enlightenment, and that they're, like, inspiring people to be positive thinking, the law of attraction, positive thinking, to live in abundance, to think in abundance, because to think in abundance, then you will get abundance because it's already yours if you already think that you have it. But it's like all these things, right? So all these people are using the law of attraction and using this way of thinking into getting abundance in their life. Would that be considered ego? It's, I guess not if they're doing it with a positive way of thinking, but it's like, what is a positive way of thinking? Because like even the Buddhists, like, wouldn't wanting anything, like in the Buddhist way of senses and the Hindu way of like mindset, wouldn't wanting be part of the ego? Just wanting in general, like you want $1 million, or you want $1,000, or you want this, or you want that, or you want to live in abundance, you want to be happy, you want this, you want that. Are wants part of the ego as well? Is that the ego tricking us to want these things? Now, and that also gets into the sense that, or is the whole point of us to have the ego? Because you have to question the other side of things as well. Is the whole point of us to have the ego so we don't always get stepped on in life? Because if you have a completely egoless person, I feel that person would just give somebody everything, give away everything he's ever had, and he would never have anything, and he would just, like, sit there and, like, because kind of like monks do, what I mean? They sit there and they meditate, they don't need anything, like, they're, like, almost completely egoless, and it's, like, that's not necessarily an exciting way to live, and at least from my point of view, that's why I have a balance of, like, monks' teachings. I've researched a lot of monks' teachings, I've researched a lot of shaman teachings, and, like, I try to have a balance of everything and just find my own way, because that way might work for them and that way might work for them, but I'm trying to find a way that works for me. But it's like that I'm battling with myself to say, do I really want $1 million, or do I just want to be comfortable? Like, nobody wants, I don't know, nobody wants to be broken and not be able to open their fridge and have some food, or whatever, or not have a little extra money to spend on something or whatever, but is it the ego that wants the million? Because in my mind, and maybe this is still my ego, but in my mind, I feel like once I've reached that million, I would be content. I would be like, dude, I don't want no more. I wouldn't even want no more. Like, I would spend some, to get back up, and then make more to get back up to $1 million. But I don't need to have any more than $1 million. I don't need to be a fucking $20 million heir, or $50 million heir, or $100 million heir, or a billionaire. No, like $1 million for me in my mind has always been what I've wanted, and I've noticed that as far as I've gotten in this journey, I still want that. That's what I wanted when I was 11 years old, when I decided, listen, I'm going to be a famous rapper. That's what I said when I was 11, and I stayed focused on music, and I made 11 mixtapes, and like, to date, I've made 15 mixtapes, almost each mixtape had at least 15 songs on it or more. So it's like, so I guess what I'm saying is I've always wanted to have $1 million. Like back then, I was saying I wanted $1 million record deal. If I had $1 million record deal, that would be my dream. That was my dream. That was my dream. Like there was a time when I first researched Bob Proctor, that I literally put down I want $1 million record deal on a note, and I put it in my pocket just to remind me every single day that that's what I wanted and that's what I was focused on was the music. And then bam, psychedelics come along and change my entire life. But it made it so I didn't really want that million anymore. But then I just, like, to be honest with myself, not just with you guys, but to be honest with myself, fuck yeah, I want that $1 million still. And I know that I can get that $1 million. I know I have that $1 million already. I do not have that $1 million already. Let me make sure that's clear here. Far from that shit. But, like, let's just say that I know the law of attraction works. And I know that all that works. It's worked for them. It's worked for people I've seen on YouTube. It's worked for many people. So I know it will work for me. There's no difference between me and them. We're all human beings. So if it can work for one person, it can work for the next. But my problem is struggling with myself to say, am I wrong to want that? Am I wrong to... Because then it also... It just affects everyone in my life, you know? Like, it affects everything and everyone. From dedication. Because when you're so dedicated and focused on something, some people start to drop out of your life, you know? Or, like, you can't really hang out with friends as much as you would like to because you know you have to be focused on something. Or you can't really, you know, like, my question is, I guess, to the Ethernet here is, you know, is that the ego? And if that is that okay? And I don't know. And none of us really do, I guess, but it's like, damn. It's just a fucking conundrum because it's like, holy shit, man. I don't know. At that point, it's like, what is right and what is wrong? But I know I'm going to stay focused on what I've been focused on for years. But I just don't know, like, is it right? And if it is right, maybe it's just like, maybe I shouldn't look at the way I'm looking at it. Or maybe it's like, me wanting that million still is like my ego attaching on still, you know, grasping on still, you know, holding on for dear life maybe because of all my psychedelic experiences, but knocking them out. But, you know, in my opinion, even besides the ego, I feel like even if the ego was completely gone and I was a monk in fucking in the mountains in Asia, like I feel like I would still in my heart say, man, I wish I would have tried to get that $1 million. Which makes me also think right now that it's like I definitely should still strive for that because my thing is I push for having no regrets in life. You know, you'd rather say I tried and failed than say I've never tried at all. But then it's like, damn, dude, is that the ego saying that? The ego is such a fucking crazy thing, especially for psychedelic explorers. So, like, I know the psychedelic explorers, like deep divers, will understand what I mean. And it's just like, yeah. But thank you guys for watching. Till next time, peace.